Good morning, Nickel City Mafia. Welcome to the channel. I'm Mike Thornton, and today we're talking about the Bills Dolphins pregame report. So, joining me today as just like last week, who brought me a little bit of. You were a little unlucky last week, Troy, but
No. I'm not unlucky. Last I looked, the Dolphins won.
but joining me, my good friend Troy Gregory. I'm also known as AKA the Librarian. I don't know if that's a thing. Do you really read that many books, Troy, or is that just a facade there?
Yeah, it's just a set.
All right, well, Troy, how was your week, man?
That was a great week. Great week. Got a lot of football in yesterday. Great day of college football as my Sooners knocked off Nebraska. Not as convincingly as I would hope they would, but it was a great college football weekend.
Nice, nice, nice. And then, of course, here we are, Troy. I mean, who would have thought? Week two, not a critical game, but a very important game for my Bills. I would have thought it would have been reversed, right? But
Yeah.
here you are, the Dolphins leading the AFC East at 1-0. How do you feel about that?
Well, it's one game. We have 16 more to go this year with the added extra game. So I'll feel much better when it's week 17 and we're in first place by like 6 games.
Yeah,
Not that that's going to happen, but
I totally agree. I mean, a lot of fans were kind of. I mean, obviously, it was a gut punch last week for the Bills to lose their opening game in Buffalo. You and I talked about that game. I think I overlooked. Well, what I did overlook, Troy, was the offensive line. Right? I basically said with all those two rookies, second year starter, I thought we were going to be able to take advantage of it. And Troy, we actually did. We did fine. And I'm going to bring up a stat here in a little bit. So kind of recapping, we'll both kind of recap our games, but I won't go into it too much. All the recapping's been done. It's time to look forward. But I do want to bring up something that made me feel a little bit better. So the game last week, Troy, and I'm going to bring up a graphic on the screen real quick. Bring that up for you guys. So in 2020, in a comparison, when we played the Steelers and beat them in another close game, check out these stats, Troy. Ben threw for 21, 37 pass attempts. He completed 21 of 37 for 187 yards, 2 touchdowns, but 2 interceptions. Fast forward to this year, Big Ben threw 18 of 32 for 188 yards, 1 yard difference, Troy.
almost identical stats.
Almost identical, 1 touchdown. But the big thing, 0 interceptions. He was clean. So, and then if you look at the rushing yards too from last year, the Steelers ran the ball 17 times for 47 yards, and this year they rushed for 21 times for 75 yards, but 25 of those were from Claypool. So we really shut down their amazing rookie Najee Harris,
Yeah.
and
And
yeah, go ahead.
and that's not much more yardage rushing at all.
Yeah, exactly. And so the difference in the two games were really turnovers. I mean, the Steelers last year, I mean, I'm looking at Josh's stats, right? Josh last year was 24 of 43 for 238 yards. He threw two touchdowns and one INT. This year, he was 30 of 51 attempts for 270 yards, 1 touchdown. He was clean on the interceptions, but he did have one fumble lost. He did actually fumble the ball twice, but one of them was lost. So when you look at, and then rushing, 25 rushes for 117, and of course 44 of those were from Josh himself. So we talked about last week the defense from the Steelers was going to be good, just like last year. And to be honest, Troy, they're even better. They're even better. TJ Watt obviously had a great offseason, had something to prove. We talked about that. And then Minka Fitzpatrick, who you said was on a contract year, already one of the best guys at his position. And they did what they needed to do. And we kind of said we thought that might happen, but the shock was on the offensive side, right?
Yeah, definitely. And again, Ben really wasn't Ben of old. I mean, the only thing that was different was he didn't throw those picks.
Yeah, yeah.
Other than that, it was the same as last year.
Yeah, what I thought Ben did do was obviously provide leadership to that young offensive line.
Oh, absolutely,
You could tell he was talking to them throughout that whole game. So he kind of took that leadership role like you would expect Ben to do, and then of course like you said, he wasn't old Ben, but he was in a way in that he didn't make any, no turnovers. No
Right,
turnovers like
exactly.
last year. And we know last year he was coming off that elbow surgery and he just didn't look the same at the end of the year. But we'll see. So again, the defense shut him down. And the only difference between these two games was the turnovers. So they had obviously a block punt for a touchdown. And then, Troy, we made two awful fourth down calls. So they had two fourth down stops, and they turned those two fourth down stops into 10 points. Dude, we had one stop, fourth and one at the 41-yard line. They're 41. We go for it. We throw this backward pass to try to fool them. They weren't having it, and they shut it down quickly. So they took over on the 50-yard line, went down, and I believe scored a touchdown on that drive. And then earlier, we had a 4th and 8 at the 35-yard line, and instead of going for a field goal with who we have a very good field goal kicker, it would have been about a 52-yarder. But instead of putting 3 points on the board, we went for it. They stopped us, and they came down and scored a field goal. So 10 points on those two plays.
Short fields will always kill you.
Yeah. So that's it made me feel a little better, Troy. Yes, even last year, their defense did a great job for us. And what they were able to do, Troy, which is not a lot of teams can do, we're probably played one of the hardest, if not the hardest defense we're going to face all year. But they were able to put pressure on Josh with 4 rushers. If you can do that, if you can send 4 and get the heat on the quarterback, I mean, you're going to have pretty good success trying to shut down their passing game. And they did.
Right.
They weren't giving Josh a lot. Josh likes to go deep, and he was having to dink and dunk a little too much. And he was super excited, a little nervous as well, coming into the season with a huge contract. But anyhow, made me feel better, Troy. But on to this week, and let me give you a little bit of time. Talk to me about your game, which was a huge win going to Foxborough and beating the Patriots. Tell me some, and this is the first time we're seeing the Dolphins. So talk to me a little bit about last week's win and what are some new things that I'm going to be seeing this year from the Dolphins?
Well, new things we're going to be seeing is, first of all, Fitzpatrick isn't there anymore. He moved on to Washington, and that means that the Dolphins' offense is solely in Tua's hands as the full-time starting quarterback. They have upgraded their offense by picking up Jalen Waddle, who had a really good game against the Patriots, where he caught 4 passes for 61 yards and a touchdown. So he's definitely a good addition to the Dolphins receiving core. He was the 6th overall pick. Another pickup they got was Will Fuller from Houston. He's just completed a 6-game suspension, and everybody was excited to have Devontae Parker, Jalen Waddle, and Will Fuller on the same field at the same time. But as we find out, Fuller is going to be out today because of personal reasons. So that's a little disappointing for this game. But going forward, it's going to be a really good offense for the Dolphins. Defensively, they picked up edge rusher Jalen Phillips out of Miami. He was the 18th overall pick in this year's draft. He's an explosive player off the line, and he can also drop back in coverage. He didn't get much playing time against the Patriots. He's still learning the system. We'll see how much playing time he gets this week against the Bills. Other notable pickups in the offseason for the Dolphins was they picked up safety Jason McCourty from New England, which will help bolster their secondary, which is already pretty strong with Xavier Howard back there. Key takeaways from the Patriots game: the Dolphins won in the red zone. They scored touchdowns in both of their red zone appearances. And while the defense held the Patriots to just 16 points in their 4 times into the red zone, they also had explosive plays. Dolphins had 6 explosive plays in the game, consisting of 20-yard passes and 10-yard runs, and each of those plays were on their scoring drive. So they came at opportune times. Dolphins could have easily lost the game against the Patriots. 3.5 minutes left. Xavier Howard forced a fumble and then recovered that fumble. Then the Dolphins were able to run out the clock and secure the win. Tua was 16 of 27 for 202 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. He also rushed for a touchdown. So not great numbers, but they were efficient and they allowed the Dolphins to win.
Yeah, so first thing, Troy, you talked about Will Fuller. I mean, I won't lie, I was a little happy to see that news. First off, I hope everything's okay with him. Personal reasons, you never know. So I hope
Yeah, he
everything's
have
okay.
no clue as to what it is.
Right. So that was a huge loss. Obviously, like you said, he was suspended. It rolled over into the first game of the year. He was expected back this week, but that'll definitely, obviously, help out our Bills. But the other thing you talked about is the game against the Patriots, and I did rewatch that game later on Sunday afternoon, and you got to. A lot of people are saying that New England is going to have a top defense again this year. A lot of guys are back from last year. They are going to be, I don't want to say a top 10, but they're a good defense. So to go into Foxborough and beat them, whether it was ugly or not, good teams find a way to win ugly, and they did. And I thought they kept the game kind of safe for Tua. I mean, he was getting rid of things quickly, and I don't want to spoil too much. We'll talk about it later on, but. I mean, yeah, a lot of people, especially Patriot fans, are saying, man, there's no way we should have lost that game. Obviously, I could be saying the same thing. There's no way I should have lost that game. We had a block punt. But good teams find a way to win. And I do believe your Dolphins are a good team. I mean, we talked about it, I don't know, was it a little over a month ago when we had the AFC Top Contender show. And I have the Dolphins making the playoffs. And now I have to worry about them winning the division. So this is a huge game this week, right?
One game doesn't a division win. I wish we could say, okay, it's over.
Exactly.
Dolphins are the division winners.
I know, right? And that's what everyone.
We're going to the Super Bowl.
That's what everyone has to remember. It was one game for us, one game for you guys. There's 16 games left. But again,
I mean, how many times have we seen teams come out and just look phenomenal the first week of the season, and then end up losing their next 5 games?
Yeah, exactly.
It happens all the time. In fact, we will see that this weekend.
How about the Steelers getting off to an 11-0 start last year?
Oh, exactly.
And then barely, struggling to win one more game to win their division. So it happens. And, but if the Bills were to lose today, 0-2, I mean,
they're out of it.
Yeah, right. They're out of it. But it is to be down 0-2 to a division opponent and also in your conference. I mean, it's not the start we want. So let's get into the game a little bit more in detail. Before I get into the game, please drop a nickel on that subscribe button. Hit that like. Give us some comments. We'd love to hear comments. It's how we meet new people. It's how we know whether we're doing a good job for you or whether we're not. And also hit that notification bell because we are working on a very, very cool giveaway for this channel coming soon. Again, I just need to drop that video. So when you hit that notification, you'll be notified when that video drops about the giveaway.
Can I enter to win?
Try. You actually know. Anyone who's been on the channel will not be allowed to participate. But I'm not sure you'd like to get that prize. It's a good one, but I'm not sure you want that staring you in the face all the time. So let's talk about. Let's go into. Let me go over here to the injury report. What we know so far. Right. So for the Bills, F.A. Obata, he was questionable. Star Latualea, he's questionable. I'm hoping Star gets back on the field. He missed last week. He opted out last year with COVID, and I mean, if he can be playing today, I'll talk about it in a little bit. I think he's going to be a game changer. Gabriel Davis, our young star wide receiver, was banged up a bit, but everything I'm hearing says he is questionable, but they expect him to play today. On the Miami Dolphins side, we got Preston Williams, wide receiver. He's questionable. Will Fuller, we already talked about, wide receiver. He's out. And then, of course, Raekwon Davis, defensive tackle, was put on IR earlier this week. Anything I missed on the Dolphins side, Troy?
Nope, that's everything I have seen.
All right. Let's jump into key matchups for this week. I'll give you my take, Troy, and hopefully I didn't steal any of your takes. I have a pretty slide up there for the folks to view. I didn't
You're
create.
making yours look all
I'm
pretty, and
making
I
this
come in
pretty.
here and I just talk.
Well, you are a co-host, but yes, and you're doing
I
me a
mean, you're not
favor.
showing the Dolphins any love here. What's going
Hey,
on?
I talk
Nah, I'm
about,
just kidding, man. I'm just
I
kidding.
give some love here. Okay, all right. Let's. You'll have your shot, librarian. Trust me. I like that nickname for you, the librarian. I love it. All right. So key matchups for me: Josh and Diggs versus the Dolphins secondary. Last year, Troy. Obviously, I mean, you probably know this, but Allen is 5-1 against the Dolphins. Again, I don't put much weight on that, but for some reason, he has done extremely well against the Dolphins. So he threw for 7 touchdowns last year against your team, only 1 interception. Diggs had 15 receptions for 229 yards, 1 touchdown versus your Dolphins. And then, so that's going to be key, right? Can you guys stop that? I mean, why has Josh been having so much success? There's not a huge change on defense. You had some of those key guys. What's the biggest ad that you think might be able to change what happened last year or change recently?
Well, I mean, it's all going to come down to the how much pressure that the Dolphins are going to be able to put on to Allen. You have the new guy who hopefully will get some playing time today, and he's, like I said earlier, he's quick off the edges, and he's able to get into the backfield and put pressure onto the quarterbacks. If he's able to do that and get Josh running around, then that'll be a good thing.
Yeah. I mean, so that's I have another key takeaway there, right? Our pass rush, or I'm sorry, our pass protection last week against the Steelers was horrible. But again, it's the Steelers. They're able to get 4 guys rushing and putting pressure on Josh all game. Not sure. I know the Dolphins like to blitz, but again, you start blitzing, you're going to leave, you're going to expose some things in the secondary there. So we'll see how that plays out. You're right. I think that young rookie that we talked about, Jalen Phillips. There's another rookie and safety I think you guys brought on. Do I have his name right? Is it Devon Holland, I believe?
Yes.
All right, superstar in the making. He's also highly drafted this year by the Dolphins. And from what I'm hearing, he's a superstar. He can play safety. He can play corner. I don't know what kind of impact. I didn't really hear his name much the last game, but I know he's on the field. So there's another ad that you guys have added with youngsters trying to change what happened last year. So the Bills' pass protection was horrible last week, but again, like I said, tough defense. I do think your Dolphin defense is extremely tough. I mean, you guys were one of the, I believe, your top 10 defense last year,
Right.
or if not, you were in a lot of the top 10, top 5 categories. But I believe you were top 10, and there's no reason to think that'll change this year.
No.
And right, so the only thing I think the Bills are going to have to do, I mean, Zach Moss was inactive last week. Zach Moss, one of our young running backs, but he's a big running back, and he's very good at pass protection. So a lot of talk in Buffalo this week is hopefully he's back. He's not inactive. We don't know. At least I didn't hear what the reason was. My expectation was that he was going to start last night, not start, but be active for the game. We got Singletary as well. But Zach Moss can give us that extra protection that Josh might need if the line's not doing their job. And they have a lot to prove this week. So before I move on to some of the key matchups against some other areas, anything you want to add there, Troy?
No, you pretty much covered it all, and I'll get into a few more things once I start talking about the Dolphins there as well.
Okay. So then the other key matchup again is the our secondary, Trey White, Taryn Johnson, Levi Wallace versus the Dolphins receivers. Now, obviously, this challenge was going to be even harder if Will Fuller was playing this week. It's still going to be difficult. I like what I saw from Waddle. I like, obviously Tua and him have that connection. They played together in college. He's comfortable with Waddle, and it showed last week. So that's going to be a big test. I'm not sure which one of the corners are going to be taking him on. Levi Wallace, boy, he took a lot of flack this week. I mean, he made a couple plays, I think he was beat on one of the touchdowns, and he was also made this pass interference call that he just didn't look back. I mean, cornerback 101, you're supposed to look back at the ball. If he had, he would have broke up that play, and I believe it was I think it was a third down play, Troy. So it was a big play in the game. He took a lot of flack this week, and he's always been that question mark over on the other side of Trey White. So we'll have to see if he can have a nice rebound week this week. And then Taryn Johnson. Taryn Johnson, dude, is just a playmaker. He looked good last week. He's the guy who had the pick six against Roethlisberger last year. He also had the pick six in the big game in the playoffs against Lamar Jackson. This guy makes plays, and he's only getting better. So it's going to be those corners, obviously the safeties with some help against those Dolphin receivers. Thoughts on that?
Absolutely, I totally agree with you. I mean, if the Bills defense can't stick with the Dolphins receivers, it's going to be a very long day for Buffalo.
Yeah. And so the other thing I talked about, I already mentioned, Tua and the Waddle connection looked really good last week. Just having somebody he's comfortable with, I think, is a huge.
And that's only going to get better.
Yeah, exactly. So that's going to be a tough matchup for Buffalo. And then, but the big thing, Troy, that I think on Tua's side is, can he avoid the mistakes? Last year in that game against Buffalo, when playoff spot was on the line, he just didn't come through. He threw 3 picks last year, and he even threw a pick in his first game against New England, and I thought that was a bad choice as well. So he makes mistakes. He's young. That's going to be a big question mark today's game. He's going to have to stay clean. If not, watch out.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, so he's going against a wounded animal. The Buffalo is injured. Never.
That's the one thing I did not want to be happening.
Right? Never cornered an injured animal. We know what happens in that scenario. So the Bills are going to be looking to rebound in a big way. So can Tua. Do you think he can, Troy? I mean, what are your thoughts?
I definitely think he can. He'll be up to the task today. It all comes down to how the offensive line is able to protect him and make it such that he doesn't have to force things.
Yeah. Well, I will say this. I do believe our pass rush is even better this year, Troy. Again, I only got to see it 1 week, and Ben was getting things out quickly. If Tua was doing a lot of that as well against New England, if he's able to get the things out quickly, he kind of nullifies that rush. But we have definitely upgraded our defensive line. So there will be some, and we have some tall guys. Hopefully they can get their arms in the air. And even if they're not getting to him, they're disrupting his passing lanes.
Yeah, that's the thing. If they're able to disrupt his play, then we could have issues.
Yeah. So give me, do you have any key matchups?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Basically going back to what the Dolphins need to do. And as we mentioned, the Dolphins need to contain Josh Allen. They cannot let him run free. They need to make him feel uncomfortable in the pocket. They need to pressure him. Don't give him time to make those long throws, and contain him when he's trying to run. Don't let him beat you with his feet. Miami, as you mentioned, was one of the top teams in the NFL for blitzing last season. 30% of the time, they were sending some extra people in there to rush the passer. So they would need to continue doing that and make sure that the pressure is really applied to Allen. Xavier Howard needs to do what he does best out there and lock down whoever they have him covering. On offense, Tua, as we said, needs to play mistake-free. He can't rush the ball. He cannot force the ball into position where he needs to do. He needs to check down if there's not a play downfield. He's got a great receiving running back, Gaskin. He receives the ball very well, and so Tua needs to take advantage of that. The Dolphins need to be able to run the ball, which is something the Steelers didn't do too well against the Bills, but hopefully the Dolphins can do a little bit better.
Yeah, I think Xavier's gonna probably have to line up against Diggs, right? That's our top receiver, and if they're gonna have any luck. The other big thing about your defense last year, Troy, and this will be a big thing this year, and they already started that last year, is they had 29 turnovers. They forced 29 turnovers. They led the league in that last year. So they already got off to a good start. That's actually what won the game for them last week. So that, I believe, is you're absolutely right. Another big thing that they're going to need to do is continue to get those turnovers if possible.
Turnovers will be key.
I think Xavier Howard had, 10 interceptions last year? If I'm,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah, I think it
I'm
was 10.
amazing, amazing. Like, it's kind of hard to beat that. He's got an extra game, but if he does do that, hopefully it's not when he's playing the Bills. Let's hope he.
Hopefully it is.
So I don't know. Diggs in the first game, in the first matchup last year, it was a close game. It was like 31-28.
Yeah.
And, they kind of kept Diggs in check. But that second game, where it was just a blowout, Diggs went off. So we'll see what Xavier can do. And I believe he'll be the one having the match up there.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Trey, let's move on to what I think are impact players from both teams that I'm looking for today. And I'll talk about a couple guys on the Dolphins that kind of scare me. And we already talked about at least one or two of them, if not all of them. But
Yeah.
anyhow, on the Buffalo Bills side, I'm going to say this guy's name a lot this year. Tremaine Edmonds. He's our amazing middle linebacker, super athletic guy. Troy, this guy's 6'5". He runs fast. He runs a 40 faster than Ray Lewis did. And you know how fast Ray Lewis was, right?
Yeah.
He's taller than Ray. He's bigger. He's about 245 pounds. He's got a huge wingspan. And he needs to make some plays. He needs to shut down your tight end. I think it's not on the tip of my tongue. Who's your tight end? Gesicki, yeah.
Yeah.
So last year in that blowout win, Gesicki had a big game. And I don't know, he's a decent tight end. He shows up every now and then, and this will be a game they need him. So I need Tremaine to shut him down.
He didn't show up for the Patriots.
Yeah, I saw that. I don't even think he had a catch in that
he
game.
didn't.
So interesting, maybe with Waddle there, he's like, I'm looking for my boy Waddle, or I'm looking for Parker versus Gesicki. But Gesicki had a huge game last year, and I want Tremaine Edmonds to make an impact there. Shut him down, and then also just make some plays. The problem with Tremaine in the past is he just, I mentioned Ray Lewis, probably one of the best linebackers of all time. He certainly doesn't have the instincts that Ray did. Ray just was able to shoot the gaps, make plays in the backfield, make plays at the line of scrimmage. And Tremaine's still young, but he still needs to get there with that. So I'm hoping to make some plays closer to the line of scrimmage, if not in the backfield. I know last year in that last game, he had a sack against the Dolphins. So looking for big things from him. Again, he's tall, huge wingspan. Get those hands up. Tua likes to throw a little bit from the side. And, let's make it difficult for him to throw that ball. So, again, with all those tall defensive linemen in front of him as well, I'm hoping that we just make a huge impact. But Tremaine's the guy I'm looking for. Star Latualea, if he plays, you talked about the running game, Troy. If Star can play, he's going to be a huge impact on that, shutting down that run. The guy's amazing. Like I said, he took Kilvert off last year, and Bills fans are just waiting for that guy to get back on the field. He's got a calf injury. He's questionable, but he played. He played during practice this week. So he was limited, which is better than last year. Last week, he pretty much did not play at all during the week. But he has been in some practices, and I'm hoping to see him. And then I'm going to go with my boy, Gregory Rousseau, our rookie, our draft pick. And I'm going to go right to it. There's a very good story about Rousseau and Jalen Phillips. So Rousseau, who opted out last year due to COVID, was the star in Miami, right? He had like 15 and a half sacks in 2019. Troy, if he doesn't opt out last year and he has anywhere near the season he had in 2019, the guy goes ahead of Jalen Phillips. Jalen Phillips, while Rousseau opted out, comes over to Miami. And he has a fantastic season as a Miami edge rusher. And then in his pro day, dude, he impressed so many people. I'm actually shocked that he's not getting into more action, because Rousseau is.
Yeah.
Why is Phillips not? But because that guy was a stud in pro day. I mean, he just wowed everybody, shot up the board. Was the number one, I believe, was the number one defensive player overall taken in the first round. I could be wrong there, but he was at least the number one edge rusher taken. Any thoughts on Jalen?
Yeah, definitely. What's that?
Any thoughts on Jalen and why he's not getting the reps?
You know what? There just has to be something going on that we're not aware of. Because everything points to him should be out there. We'll see what today brings, and see if he gets more playing time and but it doesn't look like, from what I've read, that he's going to, or at least not to a big degree. Unless he gets out there and starts doing something, then they'll probably leave him out there.
Yeah, exactly.
So we'll see.
We'll see if they
He's
get
kind
him.
of one of those wait and see players. I mean, he's going to be a good player, but right now we're just kind of in a waiting game.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, it would be interesting to see him going against Rousseau, so that'd be kind of a nice little side story there.
Yeah, yeah.
A couple of the other guys I'm scared of, obviously, Xavier Howard. We've talked about him already. He's your shutdown corner. We'll see. I'd imagine he's going to be paired up against Diggs, so we'll see how that matchup goes. I think Diggs got the better of it last year. We'll see what happens this year. Andrew Van Ginkel, he basically was he basically had a limited role with you guys last year, and he had 5.5 sacks. And now he's got an expanded role, so there's big things expected from him. And so I'm thinking he can make a difference. And then, of course, we already talked about your other star rookie, Devon, Holland, safety, who also can play corner. I expect to see him in this game today, and I'm hearing special things about him. I have not seen much about him, but everything I've read just has glowing reviews about this guy.
Yeah, I mean, if he develops, like everybody's expecting him to, that Miami secondary is just going to be amazing.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that takes a few games, Troy, to gel. And that's not.
You don't want it to happen today, right?
I don't want it to come together today. Let's hopefully, and when they play the Bills again in the future, hopefully somebody's out on the injury.
They're having an off day, right?
Yeah, they're having a bad day. I don't know. I don't like to wish injuries on anyone, so I'll say not injured, but they're just, like you said, having a bad day. Didn't have their cat or something like that. Any other impact players you'd like to mention, Troy?
For me, Allen is the guy with the Bills who scares me the most. Like I said before, the Dolphins need to contain him and put him on his back as much as possible. Make him pay for getting rid of the ball. Don't hit him late, but make him pay. Make him think twice. Make him think about these guys coming around at him. I'm excited to see Tua and Waddle's chemistry continue to grow in the NFL. Waddle's going to be, as we know, a special player. He's explosive. He's exciting. So that's going to be a fun thing to watch over the season. And as I mentioned before, the Dolphins have a lot of offensive weapons with Devontae Parker and Waddle at wide receiver. You've got Gaskin at running back, who can catch the ball out of the backfield. You've got Gesicki, who I mentioned didn't have a catch last week, but he is a very good tight end. He was only targeted twice, so I don't know if that's just from the Patriots scheming or what the case was with that, but I expect to see him get the ball more, or at least be looked at a little bit more. It's a shame that Fuller's not going in this game, because I would have loved to see all of these guys going against the Bills and make them pay. And here's the thing. We're talking about last year. You keep talking about that Week 17 loss where the Dolphins were blown out. And this is what linebacker Jerome Baker, who you failed to mention, the leading tackler for the Miami Dolphins last year, and he led the team in tackles again against the Patriots. What he said regarding that Week 17 loss is, last year was last year. We watched the film and we saw what was wrong. So there you go.
Troy, you mentioned him. You can make all the tackles in the world, but if they're 10 yards down the field, I mean, to me, there should be a stat there that says, yeah, I've made 15 tackles in this game, but 10 of them were past 10 yards.
I didn't hear us saying that when Ray Lewis was making all these tackles.
No, I'm just joking. He is a good player, and for sure. And you bring up a good point. We watched the film, right? We watched the film, and is exactly what the Steelers did. We watched the film. And a lot of teams are going to think that they can run and do what the Steelers did last week. And if you have the personnel to do that, all the power to you. You're going to have some good success. At least you're going to be in those games. If you can't do what the Steelers did, there's no way you can run that. And I don't believe, this is not a knock against the Dolphins. I don't think they can do what the Steelers did on the front. But I do think they're going to get pressure other ways.
Here's what you need to do as far as the running game is concerned. You need to extend that running game, right? So you need to do a pass play that's more like a run. So you
Mhm.
have the running back, flaring out to the side, doing screen plays, all those things. That's the way you kind of develop a running game without it really being a running game, if that makes any sense.
No, that totally makes sense. And one of our weaknesses last year on the Bills defense, they got better as the year went on, was the running game. We had a hard time shutting the running game down. I do think
Yeah.
that's been addressed this year, but again, one game in, I don't know. We'll have to see. All eyes are still out there, trying to see if that's the case. I do expect that to be the case.
Well, hopefully they'll be thinking about all these wide receivers on the Dolphins, and so they'll be paying more attention to that, so the Dolphins will be able to run the ball today.
Well, I'll tell you what, with Fuller not being in there, that helps. But
Yeah.
I agree with you, Troy. Your team is a good team. They're going to be very tough. This game is going to go to, I don't think it's going to be a blowout one way or the other.
No.
I think it's going to be kind of similar to the game we saw the first time they played last year when Fitzpatrick
Yes.
was in that game, 31-28. I think it'll be closer. But of course, I think the Bills are going to win that one. But again, we'll see. We're going to go to the predictions in a little bit. But Troy, I think your team's good. We both said they're going to be in the playoffs. And an interesting thing, Troy, when I did my Bills prediction, so I went through all 17 games. I had the Bills going 13-4. I had them winning that Steeler game, so I'm already wrong. I had them losing against the Dolphins in week 2.
You're not going to be wrong on
Let's
that
hope
one.
I'm wrong again. So let's hope I'm wrong again. So I can get, at least I'll be 1-1 after the 2 games. But no, I this team was good last year, Troy, with Tua not having to have Fitzpatrick in the bullpen there, worrying about, oh my God, am I going to make a mistake? I think I get it. The Dolphins were contending last year, so they did that. But I think they did Tua a big disservice last year by doing that.
So here's another thing to look at. We keep talking about the rookie. Why is his name escaping me right now?
Tua, Waddle.
No, the defensive rookie.
Oh, Phillips, Holland.
Phillips, yeah. We talk about Phillips and him not playing as much. Well, look back at Tua last year, right? Coach Flores seems to like taking his time with these players. He did it with Tua last year, and now he's doing it with Phillips. So it's the same sort of thing, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's just his philosophy, is he wants to bring these guys around slowly and not put them, out there before they're ready.
Right. Well, I mean, it's not like he doesn't have Fitzpatrick, but he does have Jacoby Brissett. I mean, he's not, doesn't have like he's a pretty decent backup there. But
no, and I think Tua is definitely probably much better than he was last year, and he's had more time to develop, and he's ready for that role at this point.
Sure. Yeah. I'm a fan of Tua. I think he's going to do well in this league. I mean, it's just like, look at Josh's progression from when he was a rookie to now. And if you can see that in Tua, in which I see that happening with him, especially with these additional weapons they've added around him, I think you're in a good place with Tua for a long time to come. Just not this week. So, Troy, let's get into, first of all, an announcement I have to make. Troy, you've been helping me out a lot on this channel, and I appreciate it. But I have and I know you have other commitments, so I appreciate you getting up early and helping me out. I went out and I searched for somebody to kind of join my channel, especially doing Bills post games and pre games. And I think I found a gem. I went out to the Bills Mafia out on the Reddit site, and I was looking for someone.
You picked up another homer? Is that what you did?
I did. I picked up another homer, a guy his name's Jake Podger. He's played football. Dude, he's went to the University of Buffalo. He has ties there. He knows football in and out. I'm super excited about having him join the channel. He'll be with me next week. And again, he's just right outside of Buffalo. And so to have somebody right there, right there in Buffalo talking to me every week is going to be amazing. So, Jake, if you're watching, or if you see this later on, super excited to have you joining us next week. And I will give you Jake's prediction for this week, Troy. You're not going to like it. You're not going to like it at all.
I already don't like this guy.
You're gonna, the other thing about Jake too. A lot of the fans say that, Troy, we need to bring younger talent onto this channel. You and I.
So when are you
Alias.
leaving?
I think you got me by a couple of years, my friend. But no, Jake brings a little more youth into the channel. But no, the guy knows in and out football in and out. He has some great stories. I want to say he might have been at UB when Khalil Mack played for them. I'll get some more stories from him later on. But anyhow, he believes the Bills rebound in a big way, Troy. And he's saying 38-17 Buffalo. 38-17. Whew, big
Man,
prediction.
that's no.
Before I give you my prediction, Troy, let me hear yours.
Oh, you want to hear mine first?
Yes,
well,
sir.
I think it's going to be much more of a defensive game than what you guys are thinking. I definitely think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I have the Dolphins pulling it out 20-17 late in the game, and so it's going to come down to those defenses, I think.
Well, Troy, you kind of called it last week. You kind of said, I was going a little high on the Bills. I didn't give them a huge blowout, but I was higher than you. You said, look, it's going to be a close game, and it obviously was a close game, but and it was also the Steelers had won. But in this game, I believe the Bills. Again, I'm with you there. I think it'll be a tough struggle. I'm going to go with the Bills 24-17 in this one. I just think the wounded animal coming back, big game for us early on, lots to prove, and I think the inexperience of Tua was what's going to make the difference in this game. I really believe that. I believe he'll make a mistake or two.
The thing that I think will give Miami just a little bit more of an edge is the fact that the game's in Miami.
Of course. And I thought that with Buffalo last week, Troy.
Now, let's just say I hope more fans show out to that game than showed out to the Miami Hurricanes game last night because that was horrible.
Really?
Oh, yeah. The stands were empty.
Well, you know what? I guarantee you they won't be empty, Troy. You know why? Bills Mafia travels well. I expect to see a lot of Bills fans in that stadium, especially if they're leaving seats open. So Bills Mafia, it's not that far of a drive down to Miami or a quick flight down there. So we will see some Bills fans in the stadium for sure.
I hope not.
So again,
no, I think it's going to be a great game. I think it's going to be a close game, and I think it's definitely going to be an entertaining game for whoever's watching.
Yep.
And let me say, it's been a pleasure for me working with you on this in that last couple of weeks. It's been a lot of fun, and I wish you guys the best of luck as the channel goes forward.
Yeah, thanks, Troy. And I'm sure we'll get you back on, especially when we play the Dolphins again sometime later on this year. I'm not sure where they are on the schedule. But again, you did the AFC Contending Show. That was fun. We had some technical difficulties, but we got through it.
Yeah, my brain.
No, we had the camera. Remember, the camera went out, and
yeah.
I had to tell some jokes, which I'm terrible at. I had to tell some jokes while you were switching the camera out.
I was looking at giving you the opportunity to expand your comedian career.
But no, Troy and I go back 36 years. 36 years, I can't believe it. We'd stayed friends through so many, things in our life that we've gone, ups and downs, but we've stayed together as great friends. So, Troy, we will be seeing you soon again. And again, appreciate you coming out when I need you. So again, folks, it's kind of it for this week. I didn't see much in the channel going on. Hopefully, eventually, we start getting some folks coming here. I saw some people join us. Speak up when you're in here. Don't be shy. Again, drop a nickel on that subscribe button for us. Hit that like button, share, and then hit that notification bell because we are going to be coming at you with a big giveaway. And
So your new guy, what's his name again?
Jake Podger.
Jake, and he's in Buffalo.
He's just right outside of Buffalo.
Okay, never mind. I was thinking time frame. I'm like, wait, is he gonna have to do this at like 4 a.m? But it's the other way around. Never mind.
It's the other way around. No, he doesn't have to get up as early as I do. I'll tell you what, this 7 o'clock show, I don't know about you, Troy. Even though I'm typically an early guy,
yeah,
it's difficult, but I love getting up here and it just gets me ready. And now I have to kill time for another like 2 hours and 12 minutes.
I know you need to time it to where it's closer to the game.
I know, because it would be nice to get some of those inactives, which I'm unable to report to you, and also get that actual injury report for those guys that we mentioned were questionable, whether they're going to play or not. Anything else you want to add, Troy?
Go Dolphins.
Go Dolphins. And where can the people, if they wanted to reach out to you and connect to you, do you have a YouTube? Do you have a Instagram? Where can people get you out there?
The best one probably is on YouTube is Troy Gregory Media. And you'll have to just do a search for Troy Gregory Media because that URL isn't active as of yet because I don't have enough subscribers. But that's the best YouTube channel for me.
Okay. All right, again, Troy. We'll talk later. I'm sure we'll be texting throughout the game. Good luck to your boy in his baseball game later on.
Yes, thank you.
Take care, buddy.
You too.